Thank you very much, Sergey and others. We're doing one big thing together. And today, well, we heard about clinical pharmacologists, and I represent not just the Association of Clinical Pharmacologists, but also the Volgograd Medical University. And of course, we have a big lab devoted to digital medicine. So we decided to talk about the patient-oriented approach. We actually looked at the agenda and we did not see that particular aspect. That's why we decided to choose this topic. Well, as for healthcare trends of the 21st century, that's quite clear. Patient-oriented care, well, issues related to decentralized approach, informatization and decentralization. And you can see the digital medicine within the center of these circles. They should take into account patients. Patients are the most important beneficiaries. And of course, we need to collect all the necessary information about patients' life, style, about their behavior, about what they're doing, how they're doing what. Well, so that's very important, and especially, well, to take into account opinion patients leads. Tomorrow is Safety Patient Day, and that's very important when we are talking about the RWD sources and the instruments related to them. We say that first and foremost, these are data provided by the patients, data collected from other sources, and they can just inform us about the patient's health. Well, for that, all you need is a mobile device, and we consider RWD from the point of view of interventional studies and non-interventional studies. Well, interventional studies are those which are related to effectiveness. Well, non-interventional studies, well, that's supposed marketing safety studies, well, also information from mobile devices, medical and non-medical, etc. And we have a wonderful monograph on studying RWD. Together with Alexei, I had a brief discussion as for patient-generated health data and patient-reported outcomes. Are they the same things or not? Well, yes, in our glossary that we are using, there is the mentioning of all these issues. All these any messages sent to the patient regarding the health condition, including treatment, the symptoms, performance status, and so on and so forth. And as you can see it here again, this is harmonized with the international documents like that. At the same time, the data, health data generated by the patients, that's something that relates to data collected in this particular country. Again, they relate to general health, treatment, including symptoms, performance status, and so on and so forth, including the quality of life. And again, the documents I'm showing you are of the American origin, and you can see the patient can send not just some information that he got when he went to a doctor, but also from other sources. And again, that's the activity coming from the patient. And in fact, it's even more than just being an active patient. Well, what data are generated by the patient? Well, first and foremost, that's the information about the health of state of the patient that can be detected by different devices. Well, it can be, this data can be used to identify the preferences of the patients, well, and other purposes. It is quite clear that the development of information technologies made the collection of such data easier. The doctor and the patient can exchange information easily. Maria, the previous speaker, told about barriers. Well, of course, different barriers slow down this process. We understand it perfectly well that that society, the government, medical organizations, well, they may not be fully interested in making such processes absolutely transparent because their work is assessed in terms of indications, and they would not like to have poor indications. So these barriers can be in very unexpected places. And in order to develop further, there is a need to have different documents, well, that could specify where to go, what to do. And here is a new publication, what types of data regarding patients' health can be collected actively and passively. Well, of course, issues related to living conditions, education, well, family history of different diseases, which can be very important for different genetic treatment, for response to treatment, etc. How to collect this data? Well, through questionnaires, it's quite obvious, and there are also other ways, such as GPS, that allows us to see where the patient is located in a particular time. And of course, even sometimes a short observation is quite enough to see what kind of patient it is, what kind of lifestyle this patient has. And of course, we can talk about different problems related to compliance. And on the one hand, using questionnaires can provide us good information. The media data can also be of great importance here, like whether the patient is in a state of stress, in bad mood, or whatever. Well, also external impact. And here we're talking about lifestyle, food, physical activity, and well, of course, patients can keep diaries and write down, for example, everything concerning his physical activity. And also there, there are sensors that can also provide information for us, like inhalers with the number of puffs done by the patient. The data will be transmitted to the specific portal right away. And of course, well, you can see that there might be active monitoring and basically passive monitoring. How do health data impact the fundamental concepts of pharmacological studies? Well, this is extremely important. And as for those biases that change the results of our studies, I should say that if we do not pay attention to specific aspects, we will get such a bias, and we will get RWD of worse quality. Well, you can see that the federal services for the Office of the National Coordinator for Health Information Technology developed a document up to 2024, which describes the entire system of information technologies in the field of healthcare. And here you can see the main barriers mentioned, the main problems, the main stakeholders. That's a very interesting document. It's called the White Book. And well, you can see the references here. If you want to familiarize yourself with this document faster, you can use this web link. And here you can see the data on patients' health and the curve of decision making. That's also very interesting because it shows different stages, and I hope it is clear where we are now. 2012, 2015, exploration and investments. Well, you can see that there were some state trials. The patient collected data but didn't share the data with us at 2016, 2017. Well, you can see that organizations see the value in patient-created data. They're interested in telemedicine, etc. 2018, 2023, that's our time, COVID-19, an increase in the number of patients who would like to get their health data, share this with other people. And although I don't like the word share, but that's exactly what is happening in this situation. Well, also the adoption of compatibility standards, and of course that there should be unified information standards, and it's important for us to have a unified approach toward this. And of course big data can be stored, and that means no one is going to bear responsibility if something wrong happens. 2024, well, this system will be mature, the data will be provided for clinicians and vice versa. Well, there are relations of balanced cooperation with parents. Well, they are actively monitoring their health and don't go to see a doctor all too often. Well, that's what is going to happen in 2015, but there are no unified recipes. You cannot say at what stage we are, but probably somewhere in the middle. I think there are devices. Well, there are opportunities to exchange data with the doctor, and I think there are key opinion leaders in the healthcare system. And in Moscow, for example, there is a powerful movement in this direction. And I should say that the situation has improved since then, plus private clinics that can be ahead of all the rest. As for the major thematic aspects, well, I should say that it's very important to focus on these things. In our lab and in our team, we have people who develop specific things. We have services allowing patients to communicate with the doctor. We understand that the problems emerging recently. Well, as for the recruitment of patients into trials, well, of course, here we focus ourselves on PGHD. Also, there are problems of data transfer, issues related to bringing the data together from the same patient, functional compatibility is also an important issue, because we can see that these are different data from different world. It's now time to analyze this data. And of course, if the catchment area doctor, well, here we know that we can get data from different places. Well, as for different RWD instruments, you can see different stakeholders here, the government, the Ministry of Health, well, Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, well, the Ministry of Labor, patient organizations, the pharmaceutical industry. We just heard an important presentation on this issue. And of course, all pharmaceutical companies have scientific departments dealing with this problem. That is why it's important to participate in such conferences, in such processes, because we can see that AI can be sometimes ahead of the similar processes of development in state institutions. And of course, our goal is to solve the specific problem. Well, of course, the cell phone operators should be taken into account because they have a lot of access to different data, and there are some specific recommendations related to each specific stakeholder. And I think that later you can just look through the slides in detail, and in each case, we can give our own advice. But we know that there are problems that should be solved, and what should be done so that we can resolve them. In general, I should say that all these difficulties, all these global issues, well, cannot solve specific issues related to involvement of patients, bringing the data together, checking the data, analysis of data are one of the most important things to improve the health of our patients. And of course, colleagues, we should work harder and more. We should develop practical cases. We should make the comparison between different services being used for data processing. And also, let's put it this way, we try to use this data and also for the benefit of our patients, not just only for the benefit of the healthcare system.